Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to another video from the JaYoe Nation. If you're just watching this randomly, my name is Matt. My name is not JaYoe, as some people suspect. They call me Joe, they call me all sorts of things. No, JaYoe is a phrase that is coming from Chinese. JaYoe is a phrase to encourage people to live up to their best ideals. Ja means to add, yo means fuel, so add fuel. I add fuel to my life through videos and sharing experiences of my life as I live around the world. During this time of COVID, I'm sort of stuck in China. Not such a bad thing. China is handling this COVID situation quite admirably. Got off to a bit of a rough start, but they've got their I's dotted and their T's crossed. And so while I'm here in China, I'm traveling around and checking out some of my favorite places and some places that I've never visited. Being in China 10 years, I have been a lot of places, but China is a huge place, and so there's always new places to explore. Currently, we are in Xi'an. We're walking on top of a huge city wall, and I'm walking along the wall, and there is a lot going on here because tomorrow they're having a 20,000 person marathon. And I just found out about it today, darn it. I'm leaving Xi'an tomorrow to return to where I live in Ningbo. And how frustrated was I, because I would have loved to do a marathon here on the wall. But the marathon does tie into what I wanted to kind of talk about, because, hello, you couldn't do a 20-person marathon the way that they're going to do it, all these people crowded together, without robust systems in place to control coronavirus. That means contact tracing, that means understanding the flow of the virus, it means containment and quarantining, and at the top of this, it means quick, easy, inexpensive, and easy to arrange testing. Now, I didn't need a COVID test for this trip I took to Xi'an, but I decided nonetheless to go to the hospital and get a test. Hello. People in China are very nice, even strangers. Anyways, so I decided that I would like to get a test, just for my own well-being, my own personal mind. I also got it because there was a few comments in the comment section that were claiming, because I've been pretty outspoken about how I think China has handled this virus very well, the containment of this virus. And some people, critics, were saying, you know, you probably have COVID already. You got it a while back and you just don't realize it. You probably had the flu. Most people in China probably have it by now, and blah, 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 blah. Just a lot of yakety smackety. Yes, I said that. Is that a profane term? Yakety smackety? But anyways, I don't want to chastise anybody for their thoughts. There's a lot of people out there who think a lot of things. So in order to try to temper that argument, to try to confront the conspiracy with some truth, I decided to get a test. I went to my Ningbo local hospital and drove there, and I was kind of excited about getting the test because I was obviously think that I didn't have COVID. I'll let you know at the end the results of the test. I'm going to be very transparent. I think you could probably guess the results, seeing of where I am. So the test I'm going to take is going to tell me if I have COVID, which, geez, I hope not, and if I've ever had COVID, and that means I have any antibodies. So I went to my local hospital, and I brought a friend of mine who speaks Chinese. He's Chinese, because you know the hospital systems here in China are very robust, but they're very automated. So you go to a kiosk that is like an ATM machine. You put your card in. I have a health card and a health booklet and everything. And you know what? Let me get my booklet. I can show you. Where am I going to put the camera? We can put it over here. Oh, it's very pretty. We're in a very pretty area. We'll go over here. Okay, so this is my booklet. You can see my name right there. And this is my card. I could show you. This is my hospital card. You basically put it in a machine, You pick the test that you want. Boop, 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 boop. It's all automated. And then you get a receipt that says go to the, whatever room to get your test and everything. My book has a bunch of pages in it. Each page you can write down doctor's notes and things like that. They write down different notes. I actually have too many of these books because I keep forgetting, and I have to get a new book every time I go to the hospital. So I got my ticket for 2 tests, antibodies and the swab. So the swab is going to tell you if you have COVID now, and the antibody test is going to tell you if you have had antibodies, which would inform you that you have had COVID and it's long since gone, and you're left with sort of the remnants, which are the defense mechanism remaining from the fight that your body had to defeat the virus. Now, I don't have insurance, okay? So when I walked into this hospital, I paid in cash, and I paid the highest fee probably possible. This was a very modern hospital, very nice hospital. This was not a village hospital. It wasn't overrun with packed patients or bodies weren't falling out the back. It was running like a fairly well-oiled Chinese hospital. The quality of the hospitals there are actually quite good. Maybe some of them are a little dirty, but they get the job done, that's for sure. Anyways, just to give you the price idea, the swab test was 167 RMB. That works out to about $25.25. So the swab test, that's the one that most people are getting around the world just to make sure they know if they don't currently have COVID. If I did have COVID, that test would tell me. If I've ever had COVID, that would be the antibody test, and that was 85.6 RMB, which is $12.95. So for a combined $38.21, basically, I was able to get fully tested to make sure that I haven't and do not have coronavirus. I got both test reforms. The first test I took was the nasal swab. That had a huge line in the hospital. When I say huge, I'm referring to a line of about 30 people. It wasn't too big. Ningbo, the city that I took the test in, doesn't have any virus. So people were maybe doing some traveling. Maybe they wanted to just get a test for themselves, or their work asked for it. There is still a lot of testing going on in China because they want to make sure that the virus doesn't rear its ugly head. And so there's a lot of opportunities that people would have to take in order to get a test. And there is every hospital open and available to do so if you want to test. So I waited in line. It took quite some time. As a matter of fact, one of the things I thought in line was, wow, I would love to see the system that they had in place to test those 9 million people or 10 million people in Qingdao. They must have had a massive operation of hospitals all over, culling through batch testing, which is you test one person in larger groups, and then if those groups come out positive, if they did, then you could narrow down and narrow down, narrow down. It's a statistically savvy way to try to do tests for a large amount of people, large population. But I was just doing it for myself, so everybody else in line was doing it for themselves, and so it was less about batch testing, more about individual testing. So I waited in line. Everybody in front of me, it was actually pretty proper. One of the things actually that I dislike about China, one of the most frustrating things, is the lack of line etiquette. And you will have people that will just run right up in front of you, like, forget about it. As a matter of fact, yesterday, me and my friend Lee Barrett and Mexicanos in China were waiting in a line. I think we were coming out of the train station, and we were looking at our phones, and the line just went away from us slightly, and this guy started barreling through with his bag around us. And he didn't say, go, go, go. He just literally didn't even take the chance to say, go, 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 and say, move the line forward. He was barreling past us, and Lee put his foot down and was like, hey, what are you doing? You get back there. That's my Lee impression. Get on back there. He's got a very high-pitched British voice. What do you think you're doing? Yeah, there we go. There, I think I got it. Lee, how close is that? You get on that back the line, man. That's a brutal, sorry, Lee. Anyways, so I'm working on it. It's a work in progress. So I was expecting some line problems, but there was none. We all waited in line, and it took some time because they have to you know, get the test and then swab everybody and then put it in a container and then label it and then put it in batches. And as I was waiting in line, they were taking coolers full of tests and in batches and taking them back to test. And so that was going on. And then I got up to the front, and then I got the swab at the back of my throat. They put it in a little beaker, and I labeled my name on it, and it went off to the testing center. The test results came back in 24 hours. We'll talk about that later. So after the nasal swab test, I wanted to get my antibody test. Now the antibody test was super easy. There was nobody really waiting. Nobody's getting antibody tests, or at least the number of people getting antibody tests is much, much less than the people that are actually trying to get tested to see if they do have coronavirus. So, so there was no line. I walked up, put my arm out. They drew some blood, put it in another small little vial, and then sent it off to the laboratory. Now both tests were finished within less than 24 hours. They said 24 hours, but it was much less than 24 hours. And that was it. We got the results the next day, and dun 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 dun, big surprise, I have no antibodies, and I don't have coronavirus. So I don't know what else to say for you guys, except for the fact that probably the people who think that I have had or have coronavirus are the same people that will absolutely not believe any test that comes out of China. So I guess it's a lose-lose for me, for them. But for the other people who are curious about testing in China, I hope that has kind of given you a little bit of an understanding of how the process worked. I roamed around the hospital as well. It was a very busy hospital, but it wasn't crazy. Hello. It was a very busy hospital, but it wasn't crazy. There wasn't chaos. I live in a city of 9 million people, guys. It's a new tier 1 city in China. That means that they have a hierarchy of densities of cities. And so I think you can safely believe me that there is no crazy, chaotic COVID cover-up in China. You can also tell there's no crazy corona cover-up because we hear about coronavirus in China. They talk about cases as they come up, whether they're imported from a shipping container or from frozen food. We hear about those cases, and so there's really nothing to worry about here. I wouldn't be walking on this wall with all these people, maskless, comfortable, stress-free, and there wouldn't be a 20,000 person marathon going on later today, or later tomorrow, or tomorrow morning. I don't know, I think it's tomorrow morning, if there was a coronavirus problem. It just wouldn't be happening. In fact, we'd all get a message on our phone. If some people here had coronavirus, we'd get a message on our phone immediately, and the whole city would change. And that 20,000 person marathon would not be happening. And so that gives you confidence, you know. That gives you confidence that you can do what I'm doing right now. I'm very curious to hear about your testing situations. I want to know what it's like where you are. How much is it for a antibody test? How much is it for a swab? How easy is it to do if you are suspected of having coronavirus? What is the process? Leave a message in the comment section because I'm very curious about that. Is the price I paid okay? Now remember, this is the price I paid cash out of pocket. It wasn't. It would be because I know Chinese people have their Chinese health cards, and so I'm sure if you were Chinese, maybe you guys can answer me that. If you're Chinese, would it have been cheaper or free? I imagine it probably would have been. But yeah, let me know. Was that an easy testing situation compared to where you're at? So leave your experiences in the comments section. Do you think that China has, if what I'm saying is true, and it is, do you think that is something that you were surprised to hear? Were you thinking that maybe it was going to be a little bit harder? Do you think it should have been a little bit easier? Let me know. I personally thought that it was very easy. Obviously, I needed a bit of a help with some interpretation just to make sure that the process went through smooth, but I could have done it by myself. I just thought it'd be easy to take my friend Michael with me. But yeah, COVID is under control here in China because they make things easy. They make control very easy, they make tracing very easy, and these are the reasons why people here are confident that, that their country has a good handle on things. Anyways, I thought I'd record this and tell you about my experience with coronavirus testing. Hopefully you found it interesting. If you have an interest to follow me with some personal stories and podcasts as I travel around the world, I leave a audio podcast on my Patreon. So check that out if you're interested. I have a WeChat code as well if you're interested in sending me some money and buy me a coffee or something like that. I love making these videos, and I love the idea of being able to communicate my experiences here with all of you out there. So thank you very much. Have a good day, and we'll catch you in the next one. JaYoe.